guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make Nutella Pop-Tarts. They're so good. I have shared with you a while ago, maybe a year or two ago, how to make sort of more traditional Pop-Tarts with a strawberry jam filling. This is just kind of almost the same thing, but it's an all butter version. In that recipe, I use a mixture of shortening and butter. In this version, I'm doing all butter, and I love the buttery, flaky pastry with the Nutella. I think it's just phenomenal. So I'm going to show you how to make them today. The ingredients you need for the pastry are not very many, and they're all basic ones, so I love that. All-purpose flour, baking powder and salt, lots of cold unsalted butter, an egg, granulated sugar, and you need some ice water. That is it. I'll show you a couple more ingredients when we need them, but for now, it's as easy as pie. Wait, it's way easier than pie because everything kind of goes into a food processor. That's how you make your dough. You can also do it by hand, of course, or in a standing mixer, but a food processor I find works really well here. I'm going to add my flour, baking powder, and my salt. Get it on the counter too while you're at it. I mean, why not? Along with the sugar and the butter. It's really important that your butter is cold because otherwise it's going to, if your butter is not cold, when you bake them, you're not going to get those flaky little pockets, you know, those flaky pockets of butter throughout your pastry. So it's really important that your butter is cold. Now I'm going to put the lid on and pulse this until the butter is distributed well throughout the dry ingredients and it kind of resembles the size of small peas. You can see the butter is in small little pieces like that, which is what you want. Now at this point, I'm going to add in my egg. And along with my egg, I'm going to need about, I would say, 4 or 5 tablespoons of really ice cold water. So I'm going to start with some now, and then I'll drizzle some through the tube just once I get a feel for how much I need. Awesome. Okay. Let's get this out. You don't want your mixture to be too wet from the beginning, so get that onto a clean surface. It looks crumbly, but when you pinch it together, you see how it stays together? That's what you want. I'm gonna gather all of my dough with my hands, and you can see it kind of sticks together really nicely. Don't be timid, don't be afraid. This is just pastry. It will not yell at you. It's just fine. I can feel as I'm working with it, it's getting nice and sticky, and you also don't want to work with it, you don't want to work it too long because the heat of your hands will melt the butter. You don't want that. You want those pockets of butter. Okay, perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this mixture, divide it in half, wrap it in some plastic wrap, wrap each half in some plastic wrap, and I'm going to pop them in the fridge for about 45 minutes. Alright, so my dough was in the fridge for 45 minutes. I took it out about 5 minutes ago. I took one of the pieces and I actually already made some Pop-Tarts so that those are ready to go. I also have a baking sheet here with really terribly ripped parchment paper waiting. I also need Nutella, of course, and an egg wash, which is just 1 egg beaten with a little bit of water or milk. And then additionally, if you want some chocolate sprinkles like I do, then you can add some on. It's really simple. All I'm going to do is, on a floured surface, of course, I'm going to roll out my dough into a rectangle. I want my dough to be thin, but I don't want it to be see-through. So you have to just be careful that there's no parts are thinner than others. So just keep moving it. You can see I'm like moving it along, turning it around so it doesn't stick and any pieces rip out. So I'm just going to roll this out into a nice rectangle, and then we'll fill, cut, all that fun stuff. So what I want to show you, you can see it's kind of uneven and there's the edge is not so perfect. So not that that matters, but this is what I like to do. You slice, if you will, just like so. And then I'm going to get about 8 pieces. And I know what you're thinking, these don't look like rectangles or squares or anything like that, but I'll show you how I like to fix it because this is the beauty about baking at home. You take the top pieces, right, like that, the top edge, and then you do the same here, and I'll show you how I like to kind of fix it. Because the beauty about this dough, by the way, is that it's incredibly easy to work with. You can see it's not tearing, it's not, breaking easily or anything like that. And then you just take your pieces that you just teared or you cut off the edges, and you just do it like so. And this will be the bottom, nobody will see it. Not that that matters to me, it doesn't matter at all. So I just kind of do a little patchwork, you know, be your own Picasso at this point. Just clean up and make it nice and even, like so. And any pieces, I mean, these are not enough to really save and do a whole lot with, but what you can do is you can re-roll it and then you'll get another one out of the deal. So at this point, all I like to do is I like to take some Nutella. You need about a tablespoon for each one. Put that in the very center, like so. And then what I do is I kind of just spread that around, leave the borders, you know, the edge clear because we're going to have to seal the top. So just kind of spread it like so. Then to the top, I like to just take my fork and just do it like that so that the air can escape. Remember, this is not perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It is not meant to be perfect. And then you take your egg wash, you run it around the edge like that. All right, then what you do is you take your bottom, you take your top like so. You got a bowl with some flour and a fork, and then you seal the edges. And you want to just dip it into the flour as you go so that it doesn't stick. And you can move stuff around, of course. Then you just brush the tops with some egg wash. And if you want to, you can add your sprinkles. And if not, you can leave them just as is. I did some with sprinkles, and I'm going to leave a few without. Not that it matters at all because it's not really going to add anything but a little crunch. But I just like the option of having some with and some without. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these into the fridge for about a half an hour while I preheat my oven to 375, and then I'll put them in the oven, but I'll show you what they look like before they go in. Alright, these were in the fridge for 30 minutes. I've got my oven preheated to 375. I'm going to pop these into the oven, and they'll need about 20 to 25 minutes, around the 20-minute mark. Just make sure you keep an eye on them and rotate the sheet halfway through baking just for even baking. And I will show you what they look like when they are done and cooled, because I'm going to want to dig into these like you would not believe. So, in they go. Alright, my Pop-Tarts were in the oven for about 25 minutes. I've let them cool for about 10 minutes and I'm ready to dig in. You can see that the edges are a lovely golden brown and the bottom is a lovely golden brown, and I am just What you need to know is that the Nutella will not ooze out, because as it bakes, it kind of sets, and it also sets as it cools, which is totally normal. I can't help myself, okay? Give me a break. Which, they're so good though. Which is totally normal. And also when you're making filling for your Pop-Tarts, like we made with my original recipe with the strawberry, and with the strawberry jam, I mixed it with cornstarch because you don't want to bite into one and have your filling kind of ooze out everywhere. They are unbelievably good. So easy. You have to make them this weekend or next weekend. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the written recipe. Fill them with whatever your heart desires. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.